connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. We have a very, very important subject today, as we always do. I always say this because I really mean it. I shouldn't say most, but all the shows that we address, all the issues that we address, we try to come up with subjects that we feel the community is interested in, and that's how we picked our subjects. Today's subject is retirement, salud, dinero y amor. That's the topic today. Retirement, salud, dinero y amor. So if you are on social media, if you're listening by radio and you are on social media, you are on Facebook, I'm asking you very much to follow our page. Again, the name of our Facebook page is AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. We really want many, I would say a few thousand if possible. Maybe by December, we would like to reach 3,000 followers, because the more followers we have, the more, the broader the audience that receives this important information. Again, the subject today, retirement, salud, dinero y amor. Are you ready for retirement? Are you preparing to retire? Are you afraid of retiring? Do you have enough money? How is your health? Do you have an idea what you're going to do after you retired? Those are very, very important questions. And now I would like to do, I would like to ask each one of our guests to introduce themselves, and basically just tell us who you are, and if you are retired or semi-retired, and then I'll have a few questions for you. So why don't we start from my right? Go ahead.
Okay. That's a good question, because I was forced to be retired from my 30 years job as CEO of Concilio Latino de Salud due to financial or political reasons. But I'm not retired, because I'm just reinventing myself and using the skills that I have to be expressed and serve the community in a different way.
So if the money, political environment situation was the same, you would be doing other things than what you're doing now.
Correct.
So you are basically, you were forced to make a decision ahead of time, could we say?
I will say so.
Yeah. Would you consider semi-retired or not retired at all yet?
I think I'm semi-retired from my previous identity as a CEO, but just semi. Right. And then using those skills and that knowledge to present another phase of myself.
Course. Yeah, you are, I believe, Doctora Valdez, Ortiz de Valdez.
Correct.
Doctora Ortiz de Valdez. Uh-huh. You are a very good example. I think these days is not that straightforward. Retirement is not that straightforward. Thank you. We'll come back. We'll have lots of questions for you.
Okay.
Would you mind going next, Bonnie?
Yes, thank you. My name is Bonnie Alvarado, and I am a retired person, completely retired, but I do volunteer with LULAC, which is the League of United Latin American Citizens. And I like to keep myself very much up on politics.
So straight out, you consider yourself retired. You at one point said, I'm out of here. I'm not going to work anymore. I'm just going to do other things.
I am just going to take care of my health. Unfortunately, I retired early because of my health.
So you would have preferred to continue to work a little bit more, but it was your health who literally forced you to retire?
Correct.
See, that's another example. All the situations are so different. Thank you, Bonnie. And we'll come back. promise. And then, Ricardo, if you can go next, please. Your name and a little bit of what you did, and then your status as a retiree or semi or what have you.
Yeah, Ricardo Provencio. I was in the educational system for many, many years, both at high school level and then the community college level and the university level. And for me, I remember very well, as the one magical number that I was looking for was 62. And then I said, well, is 62 the magical number? I would play around, of course, with my Social Security, my state retirement, and my own private, investment funds. So I would look at those figures, and then I would look at, 62, 65 and a half, 66. And, of course, all my friends, we would be doing the same, looking at the figures. When is the best time to go out? When should I retire early? And then, as happens often in our workforce, our industry, the educational particular area said, you need to retire. 62, you need to retire. We're having early retirement for those folks who are eligible to retire.
Now, were they forcing you or kind of like a retirement package?
It was a retirement package, an incentive to get out early.
Of course.
And, we'll give you, 49% for X years, if you leave now at 62. And, of course, many of us say, well, that's a good deal. Retire early, get a little 49% work, and then collect your Social Security, your state retirement. Unfortunately, it was during the economic recession. They said, well, we're sorry, we can't continue the program. So
before you actually took it?
They completed the 5 years, right? We got my particular case was 2 years in, and they said, well, I'm sorry, we can't give you the 49. We'll take you down to 30.
Even after you have taken it.
So it was, a political thing as well.
Wow.
So it became a internal kind of fight.
Right.
And some of us had no choice. So we said, well, what do I do now? I had set this plan in force, and now I had to, so maybe look elsewhere. So those things happen in our workforce, and many employers are forced to close down for different kinds of economic reasons. And you need to, of course, be ready to move, and you need to look at yourself and say, what are my skills? What are my experiences? Where can I use my skills and experiences in another work setting?
Wow. Well, this is 3 cases that clearly show that retirement is not that straightforward. Medical reasons, funding for grants. You had somewhat of a clear path, and then something came up, and then eventually it didn't work out. Very, very interesting. We have to go to our first break. Stay with us. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. We'll be right back. Hola.
Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. I'm sorry. I apologize, but I always have to say that I feel so good. These issues are so critical to address
Absolutely.
them because, as we can see, the retirement experience, I wish it was that straightforward, right? I am dreaming with early retirement, dreaming. But just from what I can tell from your experiences, who knows what curveball, they use curveball, life will throw at me. So I need to be ready for those curveballs, right? I think you would agree, I believe, that it's still good to have a projection, to have a plan to work. And then if it doesn't work out, then you have to, like the Doctora Ortiz de Valdez said, you have to reinvent yourself. You have to make the necessary adjustments. Let me ask you a question. So I assume that you would agree. Do you believe people these days think of retirement a bit different than perhaps 10, 20, 30 years ago? That would be a question for anybody who wants to jump in.
Well, for me, it will be hard to say. I never thought I will retire. Due to the idiosyncrasy of my agency, we don't have the funds to have a retirement plan. So I had always think that I will just continue as far as I can go.
So
but as
basically,
I want.
you had your own agency, Concilio Latino de Salud, and you just said, if I understood it right, that there was not the financial infrastructure
Correct.
that would give you the luxury to have a retirement plan, such as 401ks, pensions, etc.
Correct.
So even from early on, you knew that retirement was not as clear for you, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So were you just kind of thinking, okay, I'm just going to keep working and we'll see what happens later on? Was that kind of like your thinking?
Yes. Perhaps financially, I didn't prepare myself. But I think emotionally, I'm completing a circle and just going back to my old loves on teaching and doing life coaching or psychotherapy and assisting others. But I just don't see myself retiring.
It's not a feasible option right now.
It's not that it's not feasible. It's not part of my life plan.
It's not a priority, would you say? In other
No.
words, you're happy with what you're doing.
Absolutely. If I
Good.
had money, that will be great. But
Are-
it's just...
Am I understanding that if you had money, you would just perhaps do a little bit more travel somewhere, what have you, but you would still be doing what you love to do?
absolutely, yes.
Okay. See, that's
Yeah,
an
no me paran.
And you know,
Because I
Julia
won't have
Lovaco,
stuff.
whom you
Oh,
know,
yes.
she told me, David, why are you talking about retirement? A lot of people don't want to retire. They just want to keep going.
Yes.
What is your perspective, Bonnie? Do you think that these days, these days, or maybe people who are 10, 15, 20 years from retirement, are they thinking about retirement? Are they planning? I mean, in your circle of friends, maybe children, people that you know, any idea how they are processing the concept of retirement?
Well, in my experience, I've known a lot of people who retired and then for some reason or the other, health-wise, they pass away. And they don't get to enjoy retirement. So a lot of us, I think, in these later years are saying, oh, okay, well, I'm going to retire early so I can have time to do the things that I
Right,
want to do
right.
and enjoy those things. And I myself love to travel. However, I like to travel to the mountains in Mexico and meet up with the people that live there. I don't like to go too much to places like Cancun or
Far
you
away.
know,
Yeah.
not tourists.
Tourist
I don't
places,
like
okay.
to go to tourist places. That's where I don't like to go because those are all false. That's the way I see it. They're just put on for the tourists. But I like to meet with regular people that live there all the time, and those are the kinds of travels I like to do. And I like to make a road trip across the United States. I've driven from Phoenix to Chicago. I didn't drive myself, but a friend of mine drove. But
That's the sort of thing
those
you
are the
enjoy.
things, yeah,
Good,
stop
good,
and
good.
smell the roses.
Good. Now, Ricardo, you sent me an email the other day that kind of gave me an impression that your circle of friends, and you are very aware of, your community and people that you know, family members. What have you seen in terms of in this area of retirement, the attitudes, the understanding, the planning? Any comments on that?
Definitely. Some thoughts I think that all of us have many times as we reach our senior years is our parents or our grandparents, whoever the case may be. And many times we have responsibility for caring for our parents. And that is quite time consuming. My wife in this particular case is going through that with her elderly parents who are both 92 and 93. And there's quite a bit of time involved with that, even though there's 3 other siblings involved. Doctor's appointments, they live in the rural area, but it doesn't matter. Doctor's appointments and their care and attention. Their home requires care and attention. So all of us are involved in that. And that's quite time consuming as well as financially a burden.
Right.
Fortunately, they have a good retirement, not a great retirement, but expenses for them, medications and travel, transportation, etc. So that takes part of their time. I wanted to go back to your question about the younger people. And, I have 3 daughters, and they're in their 30s. And I keep telling them, save up for retirement because in many situations, employers are not providing the kind of retirement plans that they used to 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
Social Security, we all definitely need to know that it's not going to cover much of your income.
They say it's going to cover roughly a third of what you will need.
We say a third, and we say, well, how much is that?
Right.
You need to consider, well, a third of, if you're spending $5,000 or $6,000 a month right now, you're only going to get $1,500, $2,000 or something. What are you going to do with the rest? Are you going to be able to cut back your lifestyle and your personal savings? So those are kinds of issues that I remind my daughters and other young people is that you need to have your own personal retirement plan, and whether it's $30 a month or $500 a month that you need to be putting away. And that's something that I started early in my life with just $30 out of my paycheck, and that was a big thing.
How early was that in your 30s?
I started in my mid-30s.
Mid-30s, when you started saving that amount.
And I was fortunate that, at our particular educational system, they had financial advisors that would come by and give workshops, and I sought to attend those, and I said, I need some help to plan for my retirement and come up with a figure, and I didn't reach that figure, but what I did reach was enough, again, to sort of round out my retirement plan and still need to structure my budget and watch my budget. But all those are important issues for young people to say, well, 30 years from now, not I'm going to save up to buy a car. You still need to consider, I need to save up for my retirement.
Definitely. Thank you. The name of the show is Retirement, Salud, Dinero y Amor, because I believe these 3 words are loaded. I think they are key words that I would say they are part of an equation that needs to be considered in the context of life, period, but more so for retirement. Salud, that means we have to take care of ourselves since we're, young, so that we reach retirement in a decent level of health, because if not, then it's going to be tough, right? And then money, we need to figure out what's a comfortable level of finances that I need to reach so that I can comfortably retire. We're not saying, everybody's going to have to have a lower budget in retirement for the most part, but again, it has to be kind of comfortable. And then amor. And by amor, we don't mean necessarily your spouse or this and the other, but amor brings in the issue of happiness, the emotional part, the entertainment part, the leisure. What are you going to do, basically, to keep yourself motivated in retirement? So let me come back to you, Bonnie, again. Health-wise, you said that that was kind of like a key element that forced you to retire.
Correct.
Were you aware, I'm 53. I'm extremely aware of my health right now. You have no idea how my wife and I are taking care of ourselves. I used to be at 193 pounds. I'm now at 180, I believe. So I'm eating. I mean, I just came from eating, and I had salmon, salmoncito. So we're feeding ourselves. We're doing our exercise. We walk in the morning because I want to reach retirement as healthy as I can possibly be. So you're saying, Bunny, that in the realm of health, that didn't work out that good for you, correct?
Well, I felt really, really healthy, and I felt I was well up until I was 55. So you've got it to look forward to, David. When I turned 55, it seemed like that's when I started having problems with arthritis, osteoporosis, and that kind of thing, that I had to have a hip replacement and knee replacement and all that came along, and that's what kind of really slowed me down.
Now, Ricardo, were you aware of health in your retirement? Were you kind of taking care of yourself, or it was not until later on? How was that for you?
Definitely, David. That's always been a concern. I consider, again, my family history, and every time you go see your doctor, there's that family history thing. And, of course, my family had a history of diabetes and heart issues, and my brothers and sisters, they were all older. I'm the youngest, had those issues. And so myself, with my diabetes, I kept saying I got to control my diabetes. So that was a big issue. And then my heart issues, I don't have any, fortunately, but my brothers and sister have had. So I've been concerned, working out, exercising, watching diet. But unfortunately, our hereditary kind of thing says you're going to have this whether you have worked out and are healthy. But you need to do as much as you can. And my wife and I, we try and keep ourselves on track. And we try and stay active, whether it's going outside and working on our little garden, our patio, whether it's going to a baile vez en cuando. And, Dan Martinez and other people,
Of course.
ahí están en el baile siempre.
And they love to dance.
They are just
I'm
amazing.
telling you.
And
They
there's other
do.
couples like that follow certain, grupos.
Right.
And
So they drag you along. kind
so
of
they
thing?
motivate us. Oh,
Right.
we can dance a few of those,
Right,
but not
right.
keep up with the Martinez's porque se
I
nos
know.
acaban los zapatos.
I know.
But those are important issues, just like retirement and saving up money. We need to guard our health as much as we can because there's no joy in being retired and not being able to do those things.
Yeah. I'm going to have to come back I'm going to come back to La Doctora Ortiz de Valdez, but right now we have to go on our second break. Again, this is AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. The show today is Retirement, Salud Dinero y Amor. I want to remind you, if you are on Facebook, please like our page, follow our page, AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. We'll be right back.
Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. The show today is Retirement, Salud, Dinero y Amor. Doctora Ortiz de Valdez, now I understand that you became certified to be a life coach.
Correct.
And that, I want to guess, but does that kind of force you to kind of practice what you preach? How is that teachings that you give to
Yes.
others, you feel kind of that you have to apply to yourself?
It's very interesting because in life coaching, to be certified as life coaching was a journey for myself. Was
Okay.
a journey to reaccommodate my priorities, to look at my skills, to reinvent myself and just keep moving. But that's related with mental health.
Okay.
We were talking about diabetes and we were talking about osteoporosis. I'm a very healthy person. I have my thyroid problem and that keeps me gordita.
Is that hereditary or you've taken care of yourself in addition to?
Well, I'm trying to take it, but if I take the medication, I cannot sleep. So
Got
I'm
it.
not the beauty sleeper. See, la bella durmiente. I need to sleep. I'll be gordita, but the sleeping well.
Okay.
But the problem is that my mom suffered from Alzheimer. And one of the best ways to prevent or to decrease the chances of developing it is keeping your mind busy.
Right.
And that is one of the incentives for me to keep going. I'm very, very blessed to love what I do, but it's equivalent to exercise my mind to prevent Alzheimer.
How do you exercise your mind in your own experience? Lots of reading,
Lots
primarily?
of reading, lots of web courses, a lot of going into seminars, just learn, and it's just so fascinating.
I believe you said it, Doctora Elizabeth, but can you repeat? So life coaching, just in a nutshell, what does that include primarily?
Primary is to help you not necessarily deal with the past as it does with psychotherapy, but it's really living in the today and the now. To be very mindful about life and really move forward and plan your life. So not necessarily is to solve or heal your problems, but really regardless of your wounds, keep moving and keep moving happy.
And the life coaching, I assume it can come at different stages of someone's lives. It can be for a younger person, a middle-aged person, even a retired person, perhaps?
Absolutely. And I don't know if it's still on, but I remember AARP having life coaching.
Yes, that's for
Yes.
sure. You and I communicated via email about that, yes.
So I hope it's still there because it's, again, it's not psychotherapy. It's to deal with the today and how do I go about life in harmony, regardless.
Right. Just in your own experience, is life coaching a concept that Latinos embrace or is a little bit not there yet?
I think we are embracing it.
Okay.
There is more and more understanding that the way you communicate, the way you deal with your anger, you manage stress, the way you solve conflicts are everyday issues that you can be coached about and get better about.
And would you say that provides some help that people can apply in their marriage life, work life, and all, community life,
Absolutely.
everything? I see.
So the life skills is more and more part of everyday's life for Latinos too.
Right. Okay, let us conclude the first two, salud and dinero, in this segment. And then we'll leave amor for the last segment. We'll talk about what that implies, right? Because again, you can have money, you may be in good health, but how about that motivation at the in your retirement years? Are you motivated? What are you going to do? So we'll address that in the last segment. But can you give us? Let me come back to you, Bonnie. Can you give us as you don't have to reveal more than what you want, but what sort of income, income or programs related to retirement were available to you? We all know that for the most part, Social Security, we all participate in Social Security with very few exceptions. Some don't. They have a different system, like a brother-in-law of mine. he participates in a federal program. But it's most people nowadays, I would say 90+%, we contribute to Social Security. So that's something we're going to receive. In your experience, Bonnie, did you have other programs available to you in your working life?
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, the last job that I had, which was as a case manager at a shelter for the homeless, we did have a 401k, which because that was my last job and I wasn't in that more than 10 years, it was a small pension that I had,
Right.
a small amount, but it kept me going for about a year until I was able to get on another Social Security program, which was the survivor's benefits, which only gives you about $900 a month. $900 a month. But I was able to do what I call cash in on the coupons of life. There are things that you can do besides, you get a coupon in the mail and you go and spend it at the store and you save $1. Well, there's coupons in life that I find that help, like the reverse mortgage, where you don't have to pay a mortgage and you just pay the taxes and insurance. You just have to make sure you save for your taxes and insurance. There's other things that you can use, the access when you're not qualified for
Before you hit Medicare age, for example.
Medicare age,
Right.
And those things that you have to, those are the coupons in life that are there. They're given to us by our society,
Of
by
course.
our government.
Right.
And I don't care if they call it socialist. I think Social Security is a great thing. I think that Medicare is a great thing. And I think that there are a lot of programs out there that are just wonderful that help us to be a better country.
And this is a very important thing. I am addressing Social Security on Tuesdays in Spanish. And one of the things that I'm very, Social Security has 5 benefits: retirement, disability, survivors, Medicare, and SSI. And the benefit of Medicare is so critical that people need to understand that before they hit 65, they're not eligible for Medicare. So if somebody is going to, because I hear a lot this comment of, oh, I'm just going to retire. Who can guarantee me life for 5, 10, 20 years? I'm just going to go for it at 62. Well, from 62 to 65, what are you going to do with insurance, right? So that's what you were saying, that if your income allows it, you could get access to get you through 65.
Exactly.
Right.
And you would only want to do that, I would say, is if you had medical problems that don't allow you to work, because that you're not going to get the best income of, even if you get the Social Security that is, not enough money, but then you can get on access, and that's fine. But what you want to do, my best thing was to wait until I was 70, and then you get a much better Social Security.
You waited until 70?
Yes.
I teach these things about this. It's called what is late retirement or postponed retirement. You postpone your retirement, and for every year that you postpone it after your full retirement age until 70, they give you about an 8% per year that you delay. It's called delayed retirement. Delayed retirement. You did that. I've never met someone.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes.
You were able to do
I
that.
was able to do that. And I think that sometimes you have to rob Peter to pay Paul a little bit, because you have to make concessions. I could have gone on my retirement at 62, and then I would have had all this less money all along.
Of course.
But I decided to do some things like rent a room from a good friend of mine.
Of course.
I didn't have to have a whole house to myself.
Of course. Yeah.
And I decided that I was going to do what little traveling I did was by car.
Now, let me ask you, so this is happening pretty much on the run. It's not like you planned it
I
like
don't
that.
plan it like that.
Interesting.
It just
yeah,
happens,
yeah.
I say, okay, I'm not going to be able to live on that. I have to do a change.
Right.
I'm going to have to do a change.
Yeah. Oh, this
why,
is great.
That's why we are going to survive, because we have to change. We cannot not change and expect to live
Yeah.
well.
My parents are going to turn 80 this year. They get roughly at $1,500 a month, both of them.
Okay, yeah.
if they did not spend half of the year in Mexico, they basically live in Mexico and come to visit the kids. How in the world can you live off of $1,500? Of course, they have 9 children, so we would make sure that they're okay, definitely. But it's tough. It's tough. Let me come back to you, Ricardo. I know that just from what I learned about your life, that you had opportunities based on the employment and your profession that put you in a good situation. Do you have friends that perhaps are not in that boat, quote unquote, that they may be, just kind of barely making it, or, can
Definitely,
you?
definitely. Yeah. Friends and, of course, some family members in construction trades. I think many Latinos and other working people are involved in the construction trade, very valuable industry. But many of those people go from job to job. The job runs out after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and they have to move on. And they must, my nephews and cousins have to save up their own money. Otherwise, they find themselves at the age of 62 or 65, oftentimes with broken down bodies, their knees, their backs.
Right.
And their homes and, their kids are all gone and grown, and many of them are working, doing many times construction work.
Right.
So they have to, and many of them have taken care of themselves financially. And that's a big thing is many people do not, unfortunately, say, I'm going to buy me a new truck. I'm going to buy me a new car.
Right.
I'm going to go to Disneyland. And some of those things definitely face you in the, and we have to figure out what can I do financially.
Right.
And so many people have to take on the financial planning seriously.
Right.
And make some sacrifices, as we all often have to do, is what sacrifices do I have to do now to save my future, as well as college education is not cheap.
Right.
And, my daughters have found out that, unfortunately, loans have to be paid off. And otherwise, we live sometimes in a loan kind of society that
Right.
we have to be very careful. Credit cards are
It takes
easy to get.
years, to pay them off.
Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely I was fortunate to be in the education industry and have a good retirement plan. But some states like Michigan, Ohio, their state plans went broke.
Wow.
And many those people had to cut back their retirement in half.
That point about people who have very strenuous jobs like constructions, some people say, oh, let's raise the retirement age, they don't know what they're talking about. If you've never worked in that kind of job where your body starts taking a toll, and you ask somebody like that to wait until they're 67 or 68 or 70, they're not ready for that. And that's why it's tough. It's a tough situation. We're going to have to go on our last break. Stay with us. We're going to come back and talk about the third word, amor. So, again, stay tuned. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. We'll be right back.
Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. The subject today, retirement, salud, dinero y amor. I believe salud, dinero y amor is a phrase that comes from Spain, if I'm not mistaken. I heard Dr. Len Kirshner, who is, I think you know him, and he is a volunteer with AARP. He's been an amazing person to AARP. And he even knows that, even though he doesn't speak Spanish. Anyway, let's come back to this last word, amor. And by amor, we mean it could include, of course, it could include your spouse if you have one, but it goes beyond that. So let me come back to you, Doctora. What sort of considerations would a person need to have in thinking about retirement? I suppose, obviously, that each case is different, but there might be some of those things that human beings need, right?
Yeah. Before I answer to your question, I really want to advise people to secure their financial status. It is very important. I don't wish to anybody to go through what I'm going, and that can happen to anybody.
Right.
But talking about love, perhaps the hardest part in my experience was to stop seeing my colegas, my people, be in touch with the people I was doing. That deprivation was really very
So that was
very
almost
hard.
like a retirement, right? You kind of retire from that circle of friends.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And that is very, very, very hard to deal and to
talk
face.
about love.
And,
Yeah.
and then, well, I've been a widow for 40 years. So,
Right.
so it's perhaps is it time to look for a partner? I don't know.
Right.
But he has to dance well and be in good health
Good.
and good financially. But when we're talking about love, it's about love of the family, the love of your peers, the love of the work you do, the network. It's such an important part that for me, when I try for people now as a life coach to assist them in their process of retirement, is really to think in how to plan and how to enhance your love life, your friendship circle.
Let's continue to stay on this point, because I am glad that you brought up. So love, it's love of grandchildren, love of children, love of friends, your network of friends. That's going to be very important so that you don't fall in isolation, which is a great a problem of many retirees.
Yes.
They end up in isolation, and that is not healthy.
And the change is like, if I'm not in the spot, I do not exist. I hear that a lot. So that's what triggered me to go into the life coaching.
Right.
arena.
So at this point, you basically, your circle of that fed you that love, right? It's diminished at this point.
Absolutely.
Are there chances of recovering that or some of it?
Yeah, you bet there is.
Good. Excellent.
I'm not going to keep up. I'm reaching out with
Good.
a different hat. but
Good. Excellent.
Good.
Excellent. Let me come back to you, Bonnie, because you do have, you said that you volunteer.
I do.
What do you think that the word love or amor is fulfilled in that experience of volunteering to a great deal, to a great degree?
It is because the organization that I volunteer with is LULAC, which is the League of United Latin American Citizens, and our motto is to help the community. And the love of community, I think, is very, very important. Our community as Hispanics is something that we try to improve the welfare and the health and the well-being of the Latin American citizens. And in that, we have partnered with AARP, which AARP is a co-conspirator with us, I would say. But we also learn a lot from the AARP Lunch and Learns that we've attended,
right.
and LULAC has been a part of putting those on with AARP.
course.
And there's a lot of things that I say you have to look for advice, the way other people are living, and what can you do? What can you learn? What can you grab from their life?
And
to
join
bring-
them to some degree. Join them
join
to
them
yeah.
and be part of. These past few months that we've had the churches taking in people from the detainees, the
Right.
asylum seekers. I've made an effort to help
To
with
help
some
out.
of that, to volunteer
Right.
with that at the churches.
So there's
It's
your
a little
love.
bit-
There's
it's a-
the love
it's a
again. You
love
give the
again
love
of
and
the
you-
people.
you
They're not
receive
my
it.
community as such because they don't live here, but they are Latin Americans and they are here in the United States, and we need to help each other. That's the way that I see it.
Wow, that word love or amor it takes it's broad, it's deep, and so critical. Ricardo, where's that love? How do you experience that word amor, love, in your retiree life?
Well, definitely, it's a big part of my life, and many times us as grandparents devote much of that love to our grandkids.
Right.
Unfortunately, grandkids grow up and they become teenagers and they become young adults, and grandma and grandpa become very like, oh yeah, I was going to call you, I was going to come and see you, and you keep waiting for that visitation.
Right.
However, so grandkids are important, and they can take up a good part of your life early in certain stages. The second part definitely is depression. I think a lot of us senior citizens experience some sort of depression as they leave their job and they lose their network of friends that they had at their work site. And you say, oh yeah, we're going to get together. Well, it starts off like once a month we'll get together, and then once a year you get together. Once like, well, you don't call me anymore. So it becomes a slow eroding kind of process. So it's important that you include that in your retirement plans.
Right.
Is what can I do? I think the libraries are a tremendous resource. I think community colleges are throughout our county. They're a tremendous resource. The churches, it's amazing, if we take time to look past, I'm just going to church on Sunday. If you look at what the churches provide, there's
Getting
tremendous
involved.
services that the church provides. And as mentioned in LULAC, Post 41, the military, retired servicemen. So there are definitely a lot of resources. One of my brothers lives in a retirement community, and they have tremendous facilities, but still they don't use those facilities, the way I would see them saying, well, don't you go? Well, we used to go, but now, we don't go as often. So you have to motivate yourself and to get involved, and there are so many opportunities worthwhile. I'm also involved with the asylum seekers, and I look forward to getting that list, like what can I do to help? So there are many, many things that us senior citizens can do.
Right. So, Doctora, go ahead, Doctora.
Yeah, I just want to put on the table the fact that part of love is really our sexuality. And that it's so important, the romance, but the intimacy for those that have partners.
Okay.
Or we tend to be grandparents or retirees or whatever.
Let me see if
and
I
we
understand
forget,
it. Are
yes.
you referring to sexuality and the intimate life in retirement years? I assume that
Absolutely.
obviously it applies to your whole life, but you're
Yes.
saying specifically in retirement years?
Yes, don't retire.
Okay.
Don't retire.
Don't
from your
retire from
intimacy,
that.
From that. Don't retire from that.
Yeah.
It's so important, and we tend to not to
Yep,
pay
yep.
To
attention,
minimize
to
it.
minimize.
So
that.
are you saying to rekindle? Are you saying to talk about it and explore and not just give it up and forget about it?
Yes, and explore it
Okay.
yourself or explore it with your partner. It's a beautiful part. God made us sexual beings since we
Right,
were
right.
born until we die. So please take that into
So amor
consideration.
also includes that.
Of course.
Let me ask you before we end the show. So you said that you basically. So can you say that you have that you're experiencing some level of isolation even
Yes.
now before you have technically retired?
Correct.
So do you stay at home more?
I stay at home more, and I'm trying not to stay at home more, to force myself to go out.
But that has to be
and go the
difficult, right?
neighborhood.
To force yourself to get out of your house when
Yes.
you're perhaps comfortable there, your TV, your
Yeah,
music.
but too comfortable. Let's get
comfortable.
out. Don't,
Yeah.
don't isolate yourself.
Don't isolate yourself. And I was thinking that there are many folks who lose their driving ability, driving privileges, if you will, and now they can drive. So that also puts that person in a very limited situation. I mean, I'm thinking about my parents. My mother doesn't drive. They spend time in Mexico. My dad always goes to the nearby city, and he does the shopping, and he's very motivated to be out there and doing so. And then they come back, they have their meal, they rest, and then they go out of the house with the sillas, and then people who are who know they're there, vienen a la plática, to have the conversations and stuff. So that's their motivations. Obviously, each one is going to be a little different in motivations. But let me come back to you. Just how many hours do you think, or how often are you out of your house volunteering? How often that volunteer experience or volunteering experience gets you out of your house?
Well, it is normally, I would say, about 2 days out of the month.
2 days a month.
But
Do you
then,
think that's adequate? Do you think that you could have more opportunities?
a lot of the things that we do in LULAC, we do over the telephone
Okay.
also. So that maybe I should count that too. The time that I spend on the phone doing things for LULAC and, just talking on the phone.
Right.
But I also, in order to keep myself active, or I do, like Doctora said, that reading. I love to read. I love to read novels, and I love to read people experience, adventures, because you can always travel in reading.
Right.
If you have any kind of an idea of what people are thinking or what they're doing or where they're going, and then they describe things, you can even travel into the past and in the future.
Right. Last comment to you, Ricardo. What would be some advice, some tips for younger audiences who may be listening to the show? About 15 seconds or so.
Well, thank you. We'll definitely set a plan and talk to people, professionals, and there are many, many people that volunteer and do that. So definitely start working on your plan, financial-wise, retirement-wise, and talk to other people besides just your spouse or partner. There's many people that work and take advantage of the resources. So do some, Google is
Right.
can be a very friendly resource.
Yeah. Thank you so very much. These three words, Salud, Dinero, y Amor, are loaded, and they really have application for our pre-retire life and more so in retirement life. These are very key terms. Thank you so very much. This was AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. The subject today was retirement, salud, dinero y amor. Have yourselves a good afternoon and see you next time.
KNV 1190 AM.
KNUV 1190 AM Talisan.
Cubriendo todo el Valle del Sol con 5,000 watts de potencia.